So to start us out, we are all looking at the Drupal 8 transition. And the question is, have you transitioned all, most, none, some of your sites to Drupal 8? If so, why? If not, why not? And so let's go ahead and we'll start on this side, and whoever has the microphone in their hand, I guess it's Tyler, gets to start us out there.
So I have not migrated any sites to Drupal 8 yet. The first one that I'm trying is actually my last Drupal 6 site, a hobby site. Trying to get that up to Drupal 8. It's been going fairly smooth. It's just, with work and all that fun stuff, that hobby sites tend to take the back burner. I have about 15 or 16 contributed modules in D7 that I have not upgraded at all. I've started on one of them, my main one, shameless promotion here, DrupalCamp, trying to get it ready for Drupal 8. I'm still learning Drupal 8, obviously, and haven't made it yet, so I have not made it to Drupal 8 yet. But from what I have tried with Drupal 8, it is awesome. The configuration management is the absolute best thing for me. The first time when I went from my local host and took all that configuration and brought it up to this hidden production site where all I just had to point and click to move all this configuration, that was a pretty life-changing experience coming from old school approaches of keeping track in like a Google Doc to more advanced, Drush, features revert, diff, and features update. So things are changing for the positive, that's for sure.
Great. Let's ask the person with the mic over here.
Okay. Check, 1, 2. So we've got our RapidDG site, a company I work for, that we migrated to Drupal 8 since it's just content blog about us, so not super complex. And we've got 2 or 3 clients that we're in the process of migrating to Drupal 8, and some of that makes sense for them because they're looking kind of in the long term for their solutions. And we have some sites that we're just starting in Drupal 7 now because they need commerce or some more advanced things that aren't quite fully fleshed out in Drupal 8. So we're kind of in between, but we're excited.
Anybody that's actually got anything else you want to add? Hey, is there anybody that's actually done fully converted anything? Okay, so those of you that are feeling like I'm behind the times, don't worry, everyone is behind the times. Libraries, it's going to be quite a while before we transfer everything over. There's a lot of modules we depend on that are not available yet for Drupal 8. And even the best estimates said that before sites start switching over to Drupal 8, it's going to be a year because it's going to take time for those contributed modules to be made available. And so don't feel like you're behind the times. You're actually right at the perfect time to hit that learning curve. Okay, so.
Add to that. I guess what I just wanted to say is when this same transition from Drupal 6 to Drupal 7 was happening, I would say it was pretty much the same timeline where Drupal 7 came out, people were really excited about it, but the modules that are commonly used and that are going to make your website work really well weren't out for maybe 1 to 2 years, so it wasn't really feasible to start transferring your site yet. So being in the tech community and working with Drupal, I feel like, we should be building everything in Drupal 8 and convert everything up, but it's not there yet in a lot of cases. We could probably do some clients, but I don't know that there's enough benefit for them to pay us the money to upgrade as well. They'll get some user interface improvements and have to relearn little parts of the system. So I guess to kind of add on to that, it's a very similar timeline to what I've seen before.
And I must apologize to everyone. I should have had the panel introduce themselves. If you would take a moment to say who you are and what area do you specialize in? Are you a designer, a developer, a hey you, whatever it is, let people know. So.
Sure. I'm Jeff Pompliano. I'm with Gravity Works, and my area is project management, so I sort of touch on all of the different things and work with people who are much smarter than me in a lot of different areas to bring it all together.
I'm Jeff McWhirter. I'm the owner at Gravity Works. I buy the toilet paper.
2-ply or 1-ply?
2-ply, of course.
I'm John Fireball. I'm from North Carolina, but originally from Michigan, and I'm a site builder. And I have not done any Drupal 8 except to play around with it. I did the presentation on Backdrop if anybody's looking for a quick migrate from Drupal 7 for small sites that don't have the budget to go to Drupal 8.
My name is Tyler Frankenstein. I own Easy Street 3. It's a Drupal shop in Ann Arbor, and I primarily specialize with maintaining DrupalCamp, which helps folks build applications, mobile and web, for Drupal sites.
I'm Dan Bruder. I work at a company called Rapid Development Group over on the west side there, Grand Rapids, and I'm a developer.
I'm Michael Hess. I am the security team lead for the Drupal content management platform and a member of the infrastructure team.
I'm Wayne Aker. I'm an independent developer, and I run a training site, DrupalTutor.com, where I do online Drupal training.
Hi everyone, I'm Brad Cerniak. I work at Commercial Progression and I do development.
I'm Hillary Lewandowski, and I also work at Commercial Progression doing development.
Great, and again, for those of you that don't remember, I'm Kevin Finkenbinder. I'm here in the libraries and doing development. At this point, we'd like to open it up to you all, and what questions do you have? Can be something that was covered, something that's not covered, anything's fair game.
I'm just wondering where anybody would recommend going next for additional kind of learning Drupal 8 tutorials, or video links and whatnot. That'd be great, very helpful. So we can take that and learn and go further.
DrupalTutor.com.
We're all pointing at Wayne.
So yeah, I do have classes. They're paid classes, but yeah, they're available at DrupalTutor.com. I don't know about free choices. Maybe others can speak to that.
I have a couple of blog posts on commercialprogression.com. I've upgraded some of our custom modules from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, and they're primarily focused on learning object-oriented programming in Drupal 8.
Can we, the videos that we sponsored for Drupal 8, which site is that? OS training? That would be another good place to look, like also build a module.
Yeah, I'll also say if you're a module developer looking for information, the Drupal 8 documentation on Drupal.org is really good. I had to go through it extensively when building the module development course, and I was surprised at how thorough it is. There's a lot of it, and actually there are 2 different versions of it for some reason, and you really need to read both of them in order to get the full picture. They do have some links, like sometimes the page about that thing on this one links over to the page about that over here. So you'll probably find yourself, as you're reading, finding the other one. But if you read both of those, they're quite in-depth. Now, you wouldn't need that for a site builder. That's not for a site builder level. That's just if you're doing module development or theme development. That documentation is quite good. The change records are also good.
Anyone else? Okay, what's our next question? There's a mic right next to you.
All right, so Thursday was pretty exciting because of all the big module updates, the security thing that happened. While we were getting ready for that, after they announced it, I realized that we've got a lot of modules on our site that aren't necessarily completely up to date, but it's not for like security patches, but just like a couple of different version bumps. What's the best practice, would you say, if it's not a security patch, for keeping modules up to date? Like, do you have to always use the highest version, or is it, if it's not a security patch, it doesn't really matter? I don't know.
So if it is not a security patch, it's normally a feature-ish, and normally a new feature. Where you get into trouble is if you're running significant if you're 8 releases behind, then there is a security patch, and now you're not only updating to fix the security issue, but you're also updating to fix, you're adding all these features into your site, and your QA process to get through that takes significantly longer. Having said that, I think everyone in this room is running out-of-date modules, hopefully not security out-of-date modules, but is running some form of out-of-date modules. So, our typical thing is we set aside time once a blank, and it depends on the site what blank is, to go through and just keep things up to date, and because you get new features, and sometimes that's cool, because you get to show your clients new features. Anybody else have an opinion on that?
What we do in the libraries is we try to run updates on a weekly basis. So we program that in for our websites. And we run them on a development server for a week. And then after they've baked on the development server for a week, we go ahead and put them onto production. The biggest thing is just to make sure that as you're doing that you're testing thoroughly to make sure something doesn't break, because there is things that will break as you do that. But it's helped us to avoid some of those things where if you jump 3 versions, it breaks. If you jump 1 version, you just have to tweak it to keep it going. And so for us, it's been easier in the long run by doing those updates regularly. On the other hand, our intranet is a little more complicated monster the way that it's set up. And Paul, how many sites are on the intranet now? 12 sites, all on a multi-site situation, sharing the same folder of modules and themes. And so with that, we actually get much further behind in the updates, because testing a module across 12 of them, and it works great on 11, and one of them it kills. And then you have to roll everything back, and so it's a lot more complex. Paul, can you comment on that a little?
Well, there's also the point too that some of the sub-sites, some people also add additional modules that aren't running on the main site, or enable those that I don't run on one site. So I'm always basically having to try to track down what's in use and what is not in use.
And then we have one other added complication on the intranet site, which is when we first brought up the intranet site, there were many things, including a mission essential form, that were created by the programmer we had at the time. He did a decent job of creating these things, but it changes the way that certain modules work. And when we try and upgrade some things, especially with web forms, to that new level, it breaks that mission essential web form, so we're not going to be doing that upgrade. Other questions?
Well, I just had one thing I wanted to add on that. Not every module update is the same. You also need to pay attention to the major version number. So, like if it's 1.2 to 1.3, then it's probably fine. But in the interface, or if you're using Drush, if the module maintainer switches to like the 2.0 series as being the primary stable release, it'll be happy to just go ahead and update you to that, and hopefully that doesn't break. That could have API breaking changes, and so if you have some other module that depends on it, then you need to be more careful or scrutinize that one more carefully. The other thing I was going to say is if you wait too long with all those modules, and then you try to do like a monthly or every couple months or something, when something does break, first of all, it's just a time-consuming process. So I find either every week or every month or something, there will only be like a few. If you do them a handful at a time, something breaks, it's real obvious which one it is, because you only had like 3 of them. If you wait until you have 25, you could be spending a lot of time debugging which update broke something.
Now with Drupal 8, that is going to be a much easier task because of the semantic numbering system. Does somebody want to address what that semantic numbering system is? Or I can. With the Drupal 8 numbering system, it's using semantic numbering. Everything's going to have 3 numbers on the release. The primary number in the case of core is 8. And then you notice there's 8.0, or I'm sorry, 8.00, and then 8.10, 8.20. If the second number changes, that is adding functionality to the API, but it is not breaking existing API. If the third number changes, it is doing a bug fix or other efficiency change.
That's just for core.
Right, that's for core, but.
Not for contrib.
Right, it's
Doesn't
not
solve
for
the contrib
contrib.
problem at all.
But what I anticipate happening is as you go into the future, people are going to start addressing their contrib modules in a similar way because we do see that as being very effective for the way that core works. And so as you start seeing modules that instead of having just 2 numbers on it, start having three numbers on it, start anticipating that that's going to be a lot much more usable to know when you need to upgrade and what it's going to affect you.
What is the third number?
The third number is the minor fixes, the efficiency changes, but it doesn't change the API in any way, shape, or form. The first one can break the API. The second one can add to it without breaking it. The third one doesn't affect the API in any way, shape, or form.
So does that mean that modules are then gonna have 4 numbers, so like 8, and then the major version, the second version, and then bug fix?
So eventually, as this is adopted, we'll see how it works out, but what I anticipate is it's going to be 8.x-1.2.3. And some people disagree, but that's the way I think it's going. Other questions?
To back up just a little bit, I was gonna recommend, what I do on all my sites is I go to the reports page, the available updates and settings, and I have it email me daily. So anytime an update comes out for any site, I get an email every day, and it just bugs me to just go over, run Drush up on the dev site, and best case scenario, you just have to run one command and your site is up to date, so.
Quiet.
Any other questions?
We'll answer any question.
What's the title of Syria?
What's that?
According to who?
This is just kind of random, but wondering if anyone is sub-theming using Zen and or Bootstrap and what their experience is. Just curious, because I have.
And you don't have to be on the panel to answer if you want to answer.
I think Bootstrap. Maybe specifically.
No, I just wondered if you, what your general, pros and cons were.
Can you grab the mic there?
Sure. Personally, my experience with, I tried Omega, I tried Zen, and I tried Bootstrap. Bootstrap was a lot easier, more because I'm more familiar with Bootstrap, like not in Drupal, so it was a lot easier to handle. The others were a little bit more complicated, but I don't know. If you're familiar with Bootstrap not in Drupal, then I would say stick with Bootstrap because it's pretty much the same.
I heard someone say there was a lot of bloat. Is that true, or does it slow down the site, or does it matter?
I mean, if it's really a concern, you can always just include the Bootstrap-based CSS in a custom theme and start from scratch, which is what we did. Instead of extending and sub-theming, we just made our own theme, but we built on top of the Bootstrap CSS.
So at Gravity Works, Bootstrap, we rip it out if we're doing anything or anybody's using it. It's just way too big, too much stuff in it, too complex a lot of times. A lot of times we can just simplify it and make it a lot easier.
So you're using that, so you're using like a basic, like sheet?
Yeah.
Okay.
The folks down at Media Current in Atlanta are going to Foundation because it's a lot lighter weight and it's a base framework, and they're finding it. I think they made the statement that 80% of the classes in Bootstrap aren't ever used in a Bootstrap site, so that's their take anyway. I don't use either one.
I'm, as far as theming, not artistic, and so I just throw Bootstrap on everything, and just one, because it's easy for me. And one thing I found when I began to experiment with 8 is that throwing Bootstrap on an 8 site, I've found absolutely no noticeable things that I was like, what's going on? Why isn't this like it is in Step? So if that's at all any of your concern, I know the question wasn't directed at that, but just from someone who does use it just pretty consistently on all their sites. You know, on my 8 site I've been playing around with, I've seen I mean, obviously it should work identical, but even the back end admin, everything identical. So.
Great. Any other questions that somebody wants to raise? I think everybody's anxious to get over to Dublin Square.
So I guess this is more of a general question for everybody, but I'm curious if anyone knows of any good Drupal groups in Michigan that they like to participate in. Obviously, this camp is great. So regional, statewide, just curious if there are good meetup type resources that you'd like to share with the audience.
There's a Drupal meetup in Grand Rapids that we have right downtown, and so we got a community there that is it's pretty good. So if you're out on that side, come check us out.
Your website?
I think it's on meetup.com. I think it's actually on Meetup.
Thank you.
Yep.
We tried having something going in Lansing for a while, and it fizzled out after we went for a while. And we kind of expect, part of the reason was we were trying to do it in rooms on campus, and it was hard for people to get to. So I was just talking to the folks at Gravity Works today, and they have said that they probably would have a space available for us to do something like that. So if people are interested in getting something like that going again, please contact me, and we'll get that together and see if we can get something going in Lansing again.
Yeah, we host web meetup at our office once a month, so we certainly have the space for small group meetings. And of course, being a tech company, we love to have that kind of stuff going on. So definitely, if you're interested, please contact him, and we'll get that going.
MichiganDrupal.com. So we've done meetups from Detroit, Ann Arbor, Battle Creek, Grand Rapids, and if you have an event, you can post it on MichiganDrupal.com too. Just contact me through the website.
That redirects to a meetup group, by the way. So it runs through meetup.com.
Hey. Is
To
there any
tack
other-
on to that, the last Monday of every month in Ann Arbor, Michigan is the A2 Drupal user group, and they're pretty consistent. Kind of fizzling.
Wayne, when's the last time you were there?
Well, I've been busy.
That's
not a good indicator.
The one in Ann Arbor might kind of be dead. Sorry. We're going for more quarterly meetups now.
But if there are people who want to bring it back to, you know,
Yes, please.
bring it back to life, then.
And if anybody wants to go to Bar Louie.
I've got one other request for you all as we get done with this. One of the problems we had this year, and part of the reason why things delayed so long, is we didn't have a venue and a date and so on and so forth. I'd like to encourage you, if you've got a venue that you think would be good, get a hold of me, get a hold of Tyler, get a hold of somebody, and let us know what you think a good venue would be for doing this next year. Assuming that it's valuable to you to do this. Having a place and getting us together is kind of a necessary thing. So if you got any suggestions, if you got a good place in Grand Arbor.
That's the place.
Yes. Yeah, or in Ann Rapids, either one will work. But anyways, if you got a place that you think would work, 70 to 100 people is typically what we're looking at. So let us know, and we can try and get the group focused on getting that going instead of having to wait towards more the last minute. We can start doing some more advanced planning on that. So any help you can give is appreciated. Would you agree with that, Tyler?
Yes, volunteers are always welcome.